All right. Hi. Good evening, and thank you so much for coming on board again. Yes. Today we're going to continue our special digital academy for young school leavers, and we're yet to complete our website development class. The first time we had the introduction to website development, and I think now we want to go into practicing. So if you're watching this video outside of this session, you're watching it on YouTube preferably, feel free to drop your questions in the chat box so that she can answer. And if along the line you're not getting anything, please also drop your comments while we do that. So yes, our facilitator for today is Shakira Usman. Thank you so much for joining us, Shakira, for the second time. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank
All right.
you.
Yes. So basically I'll just hand over to her so that she can go on with that session. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah. So last week we started with the introduction to web development, where we talked about what web development is and how it's divided into front-end development and back-end development. And we also discussed, we talked about front-end development being the part where the user interacts with, is the part that the user sees when they come, when they access the website address. Like for example, when you go on facebook.com, the content you see on the screen and the way it's designed, the way you interact with the button and it responds, all of this is handled in the front end. Then for the back end, that's where the databases comes in, like where you save your data, how your data is saved in the database, and all that is what backend is all about. So we also discussed the platform where we can learn web development in order to improve our knowledge about it. So today we started with the project, and the project we will be building is a contact page. So it's just a simple project that will be building contact page. We'll be building it with HTML and CSS. So the way this will go, we'll first need to install the tools that we need in order to start building our website. And after that, we'll talk about the folder, the way we'll structure our folder in order to build the page. And I'll go on to discuss the concept that we need in order to build the contact page. Would talk about that. And as we are discussing the concept, we would also be practicalizing it, seeing what we are supposed to do in order to achieve that particular design. So I would share my screen now. Okay. All right.
Okay, so yes, we can see your screen. Go on.
All right, thank you. So yes, so there are some tools that we need as web developers before we can start working on whatever website that we want to work on. There are some tools we need in order to achieve that. The first thing is the computer. It might be a desktop computer or a laptop computer that runs either Windows or Mac OS or Linux. These ones are operating system. So we can say laptops like HP. I think HP is the common one that people make use of. And we also have different MacBooks as well that we can make use of. Then also, I would say, though some people learn website development with their phones, but it's not usually very easy building your website from a phone. So I would advise that it's done straight from a computer, from a laptop. That would be better. So And after that, we need the text editor. So text editor is where we write our code in. So for us to write our HTML code in order to add content on the website, or write a CSS code in order to style it, we need the text editor. An example of that is Sublime Text. We have Sublime Text, we have Visual Studio Code. So we'll be working with Visual Studio Code here, and I would like to show us how we can install that in order to start building our application. So I would navigate to another tab. Can we still see my screen? Yeah, just to confirm.
Yes, yes, you can
All
see your
right.
screen. Yes.
Thank you. So I will search for Visual Studio Code download. So from here, there will be a link here. So we'll go with the first link. Most times it's usually the first link. So here, for those that are using Windows, you click on this. When you click on this, it automatically downloads the. So when you click on that, it automatically downloads the file. But if it doesn't, one can click on this direct download link. So because I think mine is not doing that, probably because I'm not on a Windows laptop. So you click on direct download link and it will download it. So here it says, do you want to allow downloads? Yes. So then I allow that and it will download the file. And when the file finishes downloading, you just need to double click on this particular file after it's downloaded. So when you double click on it, it will run on my own laptop now because I'm not using a Windows laptop, so it won't run. But when you double click on it, it will show you how to. It will just keep showing next, like, okay, are you ready to install this particular program? Then you click next, next, next till it's installed. So if we are going through this video and we have any issues with installing the VS Code, we can always drop a message in the box. Do we have anybody here yet? Just to see, okay. Okay, all right. Oh, okay. So if you have any issues while going through the installation, we can actually just drop a message. I would be available. Like I would know I can help with whatever error that comes up. But most times there is no error that comes up really. So it's a straightforward process in the installation. And for those that might be using MacBook, you click this Mac and it would also download. Yeah, so it starts the download by default here. So let's wait for it. Okay, this is done. Okay, I think that's a bit. Okay, so it's done. So with MacBook, double clicking on this would automatically just open up the application. There's really like nothing, there's no long process in the installation of Visual Studio Code on a MacBook. So as soon as you double click on the downloaded file, it will automatically just load the Visual Studio Code for you. And with that, okay, we're still working on that. And with that, we'll be able to user VS Code. All right, if we do have any issues, we can always reach out on that. So, all right. So let's see. So with this, the the application would be opened. Yeah, and this is it. It has opened. Well, we can't see my whole screen, can we? No. All right, so
Your screen is very visible, so yes, we can see it. Well, thank you so much.
Okay, you can see the Visual Studio Code as well.
No, I can't see the Visual Studio folder. I'm only seeing the getting started with web.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, okay, let me share my whole screen. That will be better. All right, so we can see everything now. So after it has downloaded, it will just open up this particular page. It will open up a new page where you can create a new file that you want to work with based on the particular project you are working with. So this is the starting point of the Visual Studio Code. We'll get back to this, but let's leave that for the moment. Yeah. So the next thing that we need here is the web browser. And for the web browser, we do not really need to install that because that's where we already for every laptop, there's a web browser that comes with it. For Windows, we usually have the Internet Explorer or what's it called? The other one. I forgot the name. And for MacBook, we usually have Safari. But most times you see people install Google Chrome because Google Chrome is kind of easy to work with and that, yeah, or Firefox. So you can use any browser to test your code. We use web browsers to test our code because what we are building would actually be accessed by our user from the web browser. So which means that's where we should test our code to see how our users will see that particular website when they are viewing it. So we usually test our website on the web browser. All right, so let's move to the next part, which is the file structure. So for us to work on a website, there's a structure that is usually followed. It's not as if it is compulsory, but it's just to make the file, the whole work that we are doing is just to make it structured so that we do not mix things together. So for me, I usually find a place where I want to store all my websites on the on my computer. It might be on the desktop, it might be somewhere else. Then I just create a folder for it, maybe like web project. And on that web project, I create the website that I want to work on. Like I create a folder for that website I want to work on. So following that, we can do something like this. So on my page already, I have web projects. Let's see. Okay. So on my desktop already, I have web project. But let's see, let me decide. Maybe I don't want to put it on my desktop. I want to put it on my documents folder. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, let's use desktop. So for desktop, all right, I don't think I have the so new folder. Let's create a new folder. You first create a new folder. Web projects. So this web project would be where you put all the website that you want to work on. This helps in order, it's just to make everything structured so that you do not have a messy desktop where you put different file on it. You just save it on the desktop. That way it will be kind of messy. So with this, we've created a folder called web project. Then I can come inside the web projects folder now. You can now create another folder for your individual websites. So for this one here, web project. So the website we want to work on is just a contact page, is a contact page. But for that, we can just give it a sample, like my first site or something like that. But it might be any other thing. Maybe now, if you want to maybe maybe you want to create Facebook just to see how you will to build Facebook on your own or something like that, or a part of it. In that instance, the name of your folder will be Facebook. But in this instance, we really do not have a particular name for what we want to work on. So I will just take the name as my first website. So I will name this call it my first website. So this is the folder for our individual website. Now, if I decide that another day I want to work on something else, I will still come inside this web project and create another folder. Maybe it's Facebook. I'll say Facebook or Facebook clone, something like that. If that's what I want to build, I'll just write it that way. Just for you to know that, okay, this is what, like when you check the name, you already know what you're trying to build inside it. So after we have created the folder, which is my first website for this one, there are some folders we will need to create. We'll need to open the folder, then we'll create some files inside it. So the first thing that we need to create, okay, so for most websites, we usually have the index file, the images folder, the style folder, script folder. So the index.html, this usually contains the content of our home page. That is, home page is that page that people see when they first visit your site. Like when we do facebook.com, when you go on your browser and you say www.facebook.com. Let's see, let's try something like that. If I come here and say www.facebook.com. Okay, on this page now, this is what we'll call the home page, because when I access www.facebook.com, this is the first thing that I'm getting from it. Like, this is the first page that is showing me, which means this is my home page. That's what it means. The page, this contains content for your home page. That is the page people would see when they first visit your website. So in this instance, this will be their index.html. In this instance, like, this is what they want people to see when people access the site. All right. Okay. So then we move to in this particular project, we won't be needing the index.html because we are only working with the contact page. So we really do not need the index.html in this instance, but we can just create it and leave it there, like the file. But we won't be working from inside index.html. We'll create another HTML file for that particular, for the page you want to work on, which will be contact.html. So that will be for our contact page. Then we also have images folder. For the images folder, this will contain all the images that we will need to use on our website. So based on what do we have, the content we want to work on for this particular project, this is the code this is the page we want to build. On this page, we have an icon, which is the logo. We have a logo here, which is an image that we can make use of. And with this logo, we need to save it in the images folder. Also, this background, I think that is also an image. So that too will be in the images folder for us to put there. So any file that you know, that any images that you know you'll be using on your website, you create an images folder for it. So we'll go back to my first website here. Okay, so we'll go back to my first website and we create the images folder. Images. So here we'll put all the images that we'll be making use of. Okay, no problem. Then we have the style. So this usually contains all the CSS you use in styling your website. So there are instances where maybe we want to use maybe more than one CSS file. And maybe you have a CSS file for a particular page. I usually work in such a way that I create a folder for CSS so that if there is a need to use multiple CSS files, then I put everything inside the CSS folder. That way, all CSS files, they are in one folder. So there won't be a way that it will start mixing up. So, which makes it quite structured. So we come here and create a CSS folder. So for this one, we do not need JavaScript. But if we are also working with JavaScript, the way we will do it is that we'll create a JS folder too for us to have everything that is related to JavaScript. Anything that will be related to JavaScript in our code or in our website, we'll put it in the JS folder. But we'll not be doing that here since we are not working with JavaScript. We are just building our page with just HTML and CSS. All right. So now, just before we start with this, I would get some file. There is a file I downloaded from the websites for this design, this challenge. The logo, the background color, and yeah, I think there is this icon as well. So what I would do is in my downloads folder, is my downloads. So there is so this is for the background image, the image that is used as background image. This is it. Then the contact form icon, which is the logo. Then we have the arrow down button. So I'll be copying the three of them and I'll take it to my images folder that I created in my first website. So I'll put all of them inside the images folder. So which means all the images that I need to use in order to build this website, they are already inside this images folder. Then I can say from here, what we need to do next from here is to open up our VS Code. So we open up our VS Code. So here we open up our VS Code. Then now after opening up the VS Code, we want to open up this folder. This is my first website. We want to open it up in VS Code so that we'll be able to write our code from there. So what I will do here, in order to open the file in VS Code, I'll click on open. From here, open. Then I will navigate to where I have the file. So I have the where I have the folder. I will navigate to the desktop first, then web projects, then my first site. So when I reach my first site, I will just open. For those that use Windows, when you reach your first site, it will have, instead of open, it will have select folder. So you just click the button here, select folder. Make sure that is this my first site that is highlighted, that is selected, and you click the button. Then when you do that, it opens up the folder in VS Code. So right now, the folder has now been opened in VS Code, and we have CSS and images. So we have our CSS and images folder, the one we've created already. The next thing we need to do is to now create an HTML file. So in order to create an HTML file, what we will do is the page we want to work with is contact.html. So what we need to do here is to click File, then New File. File here, then New File. So on this new file, I would add here that I want to create an HTML file. So when you type HTML, you are specifying that you want to create an HTML file. So when I do that, enter, you're showing HTML. So here, you come here and type it and say contact, or let's do index first. Index.html. The reason why we are attaching .html to it is because so that the browser would know that this is an HTML file when we try to view it in the web browser. Because without this thing, without the extension, this is called an extension, .html. HTML, hypertext markup language. It's just for you to know that, okay, this is an HTML file. And when it sees that it's an HTML file, the browser already knows how to show it on the screen, because that's where we'll be able to view our website. So here now, pick create file. And these will now be created, index.html. Although we are not working with index.html here, so I will need to create a new file as well for contact, like for contact.html. So what this means is that for each page you are working with on your website, you have to create a file for it. So this index.html now represents the home page, that is the page that the user would see when they enter your website address in the browser. The first page they will see, that is the index.html. If I now have an about page that I want to work on, then I'll have to create another file for about page. So that can be about.html or aboutus.html, depending on how you want it to be. So you have that in it. If I decide that, okay, I still need another page, maybe contact.html, I can say contact us.html for the contact page. So for each page that you will be building in your website, you need to create a new HTML file for it. So here, for our contact page, now click on File, New File again. Then I'll type HTML just to see that, okay, it's an HTML file I want to create. Then it opens up as well. Then I come here to say contact-us.html. If we want to use two words in order to create a file, like this one here, where you have contact us, if you want to do something like that, we cannot just say contact space us. You can join them together, contact us.html, or you can use hyphen in order to separate both files. But you cannot just do like this with the space. No, that would not work. So we can say contact us.html. Then we'll also create the file for the contact us page. So this is the file that we would be working with going forward. All right. Okay. So now we can discuss about the things that we need to know in order to build the contact page. And as we are discussing that, we would also be building what you are supposed to build at the as we are doing that. So, and what are the things that we'll be learning? We'll be learning understanding how we structure our HTML page, then basic CSS stylings that we need in order to build the contact page. Then we also talked about responsive design principles and form validation. So I would continue with this in the next video. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Perfect. So I'm going to end the call now and send you another link.
All right.
Thank you.